Something was wrong with the world, and Army Sergeant Major Elias Hayes could feel it in his skull. The headache had started the night before. Dull, steady, nothing sharp enough to stop him, but too present to ignore. He had woken with it, gone through morning protocols with it, saluted his commanding officer with it. The medic cleared him, but the ache hadn't gone away, nor had the sense that something was missing. The metallic tang of ozone clung to his tongue. It had settled there the moment he stepped outside, and it hadn't lifted. Sector Gamma had gone dark. He remembered the call coming in. Emergency priority, full mobilization. He remembered stepping into the decontamination chamber, hearing the seals lock behind him. What came before that, the full 24 hours, was gone. Not a blur, not a haze, just gone. Elias, the senior member of internal security, was assigned to investigate a murder discovered on base. Just yesterday, in this very lab, a high-pitched whine had pierced the sterile quiet. Elias had been there. He had felt the pressure build behind his eyes, a searing pain that made his vision blur. Dr. Eris Thorne, a man Elias vaguely recalled from previous briefings, had been speaking, his voice distant, urgent, about stabilization and neurological feedback. Elias had reached out not with malice, but with a desperate need to silence the noise, to stop the unbearable sensation. His hand closed around a small device Thorne held, a device that pulsed with an unsettling green light. Then a sudden, involuntary jerk, a twist of the wrist, and the device had been pointing at Thorne. Then silence. A profound, ringing silence. Thorne's eyes had widened in an instant of disbelief, and he had crumpled to the floor. Elias had staggered out, securing the lab behind him, the headache already forming, obscuring the precise sequence of events. Elias hadn't meant to forget. He had forced it. The pain had been too much. The moment after Thorne fell, the sound still ringing in his ears, something inside him gave way. Panic blurred into instinct. Before he could think, he had turned the device on himself. It wasn't a decision, it was a reaction. Raw, immediate, driven by the splitting pressure behind his eyes and the rising certainty that he had just crossed a line he didn't understand. The device responded without delay. A flash of green. Then, nothing. Darkness. The memory of the moment vanished. Thorne's face, the noise, the motion of his own hand, erased. The headache that followed became constant, like a closed circuit still humming in the back of his skull. The investigation was slow. Elias worried he knew more than he admitted, but he followed the process, waiting to see what surfaced. Thorne's research logs were dense, but as Elias read through them, a pattern formed. Project Echo wasn't just theoretical, it was active. A prototype designed to use high-frequency resonance to interface with neural tissue directly. The later entries grew anxious. Unforeseen neurological interactions. Data instability, subject resistance. Then one line stood out. The last note Thorne made before his death. Subject 7 showing unexpected resistance. Must terminate Stage 3 trials immediately. Data integrity compromised. The code name struck him. Elias checked the personnel database. No one matched. But when he traced irregular medical visits and flagged psychological reports, all the evidence pointed to one source. Himself. The headache sharpened. He pulled the lab's access logs. His ID had opened the secure wing shortly before the power spike. Thorne's was the last after him. There was no third name. The lab's cameras, partly corrupted, confirmed what the logs implied. A lone figure, his height, his gait, exiting after the power failure. The fear passed quickly. What followed was something colder. Recognition. He remembered. The device, Thorne's voice, the green light, the noise, the collapse. The headache hadn't come from stress or trauma. It was the device. A tool not just for memory recording, but memory removal. He found the final file outside the official logs, buried in Thorne's personal drive. Device induces targeted retrograde amnesia. Success possible, but structural damage likely with repeat use. Cerebral bleeding, identity fragmentation. Last subject required physical restraint. The device had done what he wanted. It had taken away the part of himself that acted, the part that remembered, but it had left damage behind. Now he remembered everything, and there was no one else to blame. The end didn't come with a report or a confrontation. It came with confusion. What happened next was only partly recoverable. Days later, personnel found Elias in a lower corridor, unarmed, alone, and unable to state his name or assignment. The device lay next to him. A post-mortem scan of the lab systems showed that he had issued an override command, bypassing the usual containment protocols. No sign of external access. No proof of another presence. The file closed without resolution. The case was archived. But he didn't die. That wasn't the consequence. The real loss was quieter. Elias lived, but the structure of his mind, the continuity of memory, the sense of purpose was gone. The man he had been was no longer reachable. The guilt had been erased, but so had everything else. Others still remembered. Thorne's death, the corrupted logs, the device no one could trace to any authorized project, and the man who kept returning to the same questions, circling the same facts, always from the beginning. Down a side wing of the facility, outside any active research line, a sealed case held the remnants. A note was pinned to the door. Do not reassign Hayes. Project Echo incomplete.